This is John with Eat Sleep Fantasy, and I am here to tell you today that if you have not gone to manscaped.com, I don't know what your problem is, because these people solve all of your problems. If you are a male, if you groom below your belt line, this is the place for you. Manscaped.com. Head over there. Use promo code ESF. Here's what you get. 20% off whatever you purchase, plus free shipping, and if you buy one of their kits, you get a free travel bag. What are you waiting for? Improve your personal life by heading to manscaped.com and fix all of your male grooming needs. It's a one-stop shop, amazing products, great customer service. What more do you need? Manscaped.com. Use promo code ESF.
Yeah, Eat Sleep Fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat Sleep Fantasy. Yeah, Eat Sleep Fantasy. Eat Sleep Fantasy.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Eat Sleep Fantasy Football Podcast, also known as the Gwendolyn of Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Christian Brito, and joining me as always is Mr. Dale DeMott. What's up, Dale?
The Gwendolyn I know because we were just talking about it off air. You think my daughter's name and the potential names of my future daughter sounds really old. And yeah, I get it.
The Dorothy of Fantasy Football Podcast.
That's okay.
That's okay. I don't have anything bad to say.
Jeez, I know.
I like that name, actually, Dorothy. The other names on the list that you picked,
we'll talk about it in a second. I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
We do have a very, very special guest today. You heard us talk about Fantasy Go in the previous episodes. You know we believe in them. You can actually sign up to be for me to be an analyst of your Yahoo team, whether it's you're on the road a lot or whatever's going on. You can just go to fantasygo.com, look for me, and then or look for other analysts. There's a bunch on there now. Basically, pick us to help you run your team, all sorts of stuff. I know David can explain a lot better than I am right now, but we welcome David from Fantasy Go. How's it going, man?
What's up, lads? How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Awesome.
Just FYI, I think Gladys is the way to go. I picture a 7-year-old woman, smoking a cigarette on the porch, yelling at young children. That's the name for me.
There's
Enid?
nothing.
You want to go Enid?
That's way too. Look, you have to go a little. It's more classic than old, right? We have to go classic here.
Like Harriet?
Harriet's not bad. There's some history with that name. I don't know. But anyways, David, Fantasy Go. Before we get into it, wait, hold on. Let me back up a little bit. Thank you to Fantasy Go, first of all, because we do have an announcement, and I'm going to tie this right in, and then David can explain to you guys exactly what Fantasy Go is if you haven't heard. But with being partners with them, they have provided us with a bunch of shirts to give out. You guys know we love to give stuff out. Last year we gave away, I think, over 100 shirts. So we're not going that crazy because that was way too much work for me. I was going to the post office like every day with big boxes of stuff. So we're not doing that. But Fantasy Go is providing us with a bunch of merch that we're going to give away. We haven't decided exactly how. Maybe like one a week, a couple a week to our loyal listeners. So stay tuned for that because I'm going to be giving those away like Oprah gives out cars. But
no worries.
So David,
glad to be part of it, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks. What should people expect out of Fantasy Go, first of all, and then we'll kind of get into what we're doing later in this episode. I just want to get everybody familiar with what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. I guess Fantasy Go. I thought of the idea is about a year ago or so when like a lot of other people listening to those mainstream type of podcasts, and there's certain big name analysts that I won't name, but. This guy was in 9 leagues and he won one of them. I'm like, who's this guy, calling himself an expert, winning 1 out of 9 leagues? Half my buddies do better than this guy. They're in 3 leagues and they win 2 of them, So I was thinking there's got to be a way for the regular diehard fantasy fan to be able to give advice and, make money out of these guys. So that's kind of why I created Fantasy Go, to give you a run through. It's a marketplace, kind of like the Uber or Airbnb, if you will, of fantasy football. So we've got a bunch of analysts, obviously, like yourself, Dale, on there, people, in the industry who are, well versed and know their stuff about fantasy. And they're there to pretty much take your team to the next level. So right now we're just in Yahoo, but we got a couple of big announcements. So in 2 weeks we're actually going to be open to all platforms, and we're also going to have a DFS option. So there's going to be a chat feature where you get to actually talk to your analyst all week long, back and forth. You can discuss who to put in your DFS lineup or what have you. And just with the season-long stuff, if you want to talk trades with your analyst, you can go back and forth. They obviously will help you set your lineup and what have you. So, that's really what Fantasy Go is. Right now in Yahoo, you sign up, log into your Yahoo account, select your analyst just like you would select a room on Airbnb, based on price, rating, and what have you. And pretty much that's it. There's 2 options. There's the full service mode where your analyst can do start sits, add drops, bench moves back and forth. So pretty much you can just sit back, relax, just drink a beer, and your analyst will make sure that they're taking care of your team all week long, pretty much. If you don't want anyone to drop your team, there's start sit mode where all they do is move players to and from the bench. So sorry, we went a little bit of a rant, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
No, it's awesome. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and when I talked to you early on in the preseason, I was excited about it, and happy to talk about it here. Whether or not you're a partner of ours, I think it's a really cool product for fantasy football, and we're all for it. So pretty cool stuff, and I expect it to grow. I know this is your first year doing this, but already off to an awesome start, and I expect it to grow into something pretty cool. So pretty good stuff.
So appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Christian.
Yeah. So I just want to kind of chime in a little bit for our listeners, because I think what is so cool about your platform is you have both sides of it, right? You have the people that want to be the expert and the people that want to potentially just have someone run their teams for them, whether they're just in too many leagues or they're doubting, the moves that they're making or whatever it might be. It's just it's that perfect complement of both sides, whatever you're kind of looking for, that really draws me to the app, because I can go on there and be an expert, and then I can also go on there and have somebody run all these leagues that I may not want to manage. You know what I mean? So it's such a perfect complement of a service that it's a really great idea.
Yep.
Yeah, and just quickly, the one thing also, if you're 0-4 right now, or even 1-3, and you want to make sure you make that playoff push, I mean, this is really the best way to kind of pop the hood of your fantasy team, if you will. Your analysts can see all your league rules, your point scoring system, whether it's half PPR, whether there's bonus points for rushing over 100 yards. They can see your waiver wire and make all those changes. So if you're worried that you should be a first overall pick instead of Saquon, and you made a few bad moves, then you hire someone like Dale to jump on there, and he can go in there and do ad drops and clean it up so your team is spick and span, if you will.
There you go. Awesome.
All right.
So we haven't said it yet, but today we are doing a full-fledged mailbag episode, all from our Eat Nation private group on Facebook. We posed a question yesterday for mailbag. We got a ton of stuff, so I don't know. We could talk about that.
All right, cool.
Well, hold on. So actually, hold on. I was kind of dragging because I was looking for my notes, because there are a couple things that we want to mention. One, eatsleepfantasy.com. It is a website. Get all our rankings, subscribe, do all the good stuff, all the articles from all of our awesome writers. We have a ton of contributors now helping out with some weekly articles, so definitely check those out. It's going to help you every day of the week, from streaming to rankings, sit and starts, waivers, all that stuff. 2, pretty big announcement, but we are getting an app in the Apple App Store. So
nice.
Be on the lookout for that. It's probably going to be dropping, hopefully, by the time you hear this episode. But Apple gets kind of weird, so I don't know how that's going to work. But as soon as, maybe just check it periodically and download it. There's going to be episodes and chats and the little chat window and all that stuff. So It's gonna be
You
awesome.
came out that with real confidence, Dale.
Well, because the fact is, I was really like, I've been working on this stuff for a couple weeks, and I really wanted to announce it, but then Apple's so weird, I don't know what they're doing, but it's up there. It says it's ready to go. It just has to hit the App Store, which...
If it's not ready by the time you hear this episode, we'll try again on the next one.
But it's going to be awesome. So, and
right.
That's about it. Yeah, so let's get into some questions.
All right, let's do it, man.
First
First question.
Look, hold on. How about this? So Christian brought up the names because my daughter's name is Beatrice, and we are talking about names for our second daughter that's going to be born probably in the next week or two. And we are between like Dorothy, Margaret, Eleanor, and jeez, I already forgot the other one. Josephine. Yeah, that's the other one. So we're between those. Christian said they were really too old. So I think we should give the oldest sounding person that asked us a question a T-shirt.
That's a cool
Oldest
idea.
sounding person that asked us a question. So we'll go through this list. Oh man, that's going to be good. But let's go ahead and get started with the questions. And as I read the name, we'll give it an old ranking. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. First question comes in from Brad Jackson on our Facebook group, and he asks, "What the hell do I do with Baker? I'm in a 2-quarterback keeper league, and this guy is stinking it up."
He is, but the good thing about it is he has an amazing schedule. You got to hold on to him, especially in a 2-quarterback league. I mean, dude, he's a top 24 guy. He might be on the bottom level right now, but if you look at his schedule, and I know I just posted this in our chat earlier today, Christian.
Right.
If you look at his schedule later in the year, from weeks 11 through 15, it's pretty amazing.
So here's a couple of things you can do. You ready? Baker Mayfield, amazing schedule from week 11 to 15. And if you're looking for a guy that you could potentially acquire very cheaply that has a great schedule from weeks 5 through 10 to get you there, that has stunk it up to start the season. You ready for this?
Yep.
Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
I'm going to read to you who he has upcoming the next 5 weeks. New York Giants, 26th against the pass. Philadelphia Eagles, 28th against the pass. Detroit Lions, 19th against the pass. Washington Redskins, 29th against the pass. Kansas City, 25th against the pass. Not a single team that's in the top 10, much less the top 18. And 4 of those 5 matchups are against bottom, like 25 or below against the pass for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say quickly just about Baker is, especially in a 2-quarterback league, and I'm not sure if they mentioned they're in a 10, 12-man league or what have you, but there is so many question marks at quarterback now. I mean, even as great as Gardner Minshew is it a guarantee that he keeps his job?
Right.
When Foles comes back, for me, I'll take Baker all day long, knowing that guy's a stud. And you got to look at the facts. He's got Nick Chubb as his running back. He's got Landry. He's got Beckham. I mean, he's got 3 amazing weapons. It's the first 4 weeks. Give the guy a break. He'll bounce back.
Yep.
He just threw for 342 yards and completed 2/3 of his passes. I understand that he only threw for 1 touchdown, but when you put up 40 points, that has to kind of correct itself a little bit. When you're throwing for that many yards, scoring that many points, eventually the touchdowns will start to shift. I just kind of think that's a little bit more of an anomaly with what's happened, because he's passed for 285 or more in 3 out of his 4 games, right? But only thrown for a touchdown in every game, 1 touchdown every game. That, to me, is a numerical anomaly when you've put up, 40 points this past game and only get 1 touchdown. It doesn't add up.
And he had the same start last year. I mean, he was off to a very slow start. Then midway through the season, he just was firing on all cylinders. So
Right.
I'm a believer in Baker. I'm not massive on the huge Cleveland Brown hype, but nonetheless, he's a good quarterback. He's a starting quarterback. Stick with him.
In a 2 QB league, I don't think you're going to get the return that you want for him. You got to stick it out, basically.
All right. Manny Para is next. Wait, hold on. Brad, not a very old school name. Don't even put his name in the hat. Manny Parra wants to know, is Melvin Gordon a viable start regardless of matchup for this week? Is he... I'll let you answer this, Christian.
A viable start as in like RB 2 to 3? Sure. I think you kind of have to wait to see what his usage will be, but I think if he's on the field and he gets even 40% of the work, he's probably going to score. Like that offense has been pretty good, especially with the run, especially with Austin Eckler, and you plug in Melvin Gordon in a portion of what his role typically is. I think he'll be fine, and I think his role will continue to increase as the season progresses. I don't know if it's going to be an all-out, hey, he's back and we're going to run him into the ground like normal, but I still think you got to play him if you got him. I don't think you have much options unless you have 3 top 24 running backs outside of Melvin Gordon, which I doubt, but maybe your team is stacked and you can send a follow-up question. But I think Gordon is a viable start, and you should be starting him this week. I
think a solid flex play this week, just because even if he gets 8 carries, okay, I mean, I'm just throwing that on the wall. I don't have a clue, but say it is 8 carries, they could all be inside the 5-yard line. So he can have 8 carries and 2 touchdowns and 20 yards. We don't know. That's not that crazy to think that he can do that. So because of that reason, I would have him as a flex this week.
My theory is if you have a stud, I'd rather start a stud and then put up a goose egg rather than start someone who is going to be the backup. I'm a big Austin Eckler fan. I totally get it. He's been beyond incredible. You got amazing value out of Eckler, for the first 4 weeks, right? But Melvin Gordon is the starter. That's the fact. Like when Saquon comes back, he is the starter. Gorman goes back to the backup. Austin Eckler is still going to get time, in my opinion. Right. But like you said, Dale, if Melvin Gordon's going to get 10 touches, I'll take that all day long because those 10 touches could go for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah. To me, once Melvin Gordon's back to full strength, Austin Eckler will go down from the 23 touches a game that he's getting, which is great, down to, he was running the ball. He ran the ball 18 times and caught 5 passes. He'll go down from that to 10 touches a game, but he's still going to have value. It definitely won't be the, 33 points in standard that we saw in week 1, but it'll be a very serviceable running back, and Melvin Gordon will eventually grow back to being that RB1. But I say give it a couple weeks till we get there. So Manny's not an old name like you mentioned. What about Matt Scalise? I said that horribly.
That was probably wrong. Matt is...
Scalise?
Matt... No.
Khaleesi?
No. That's... actually, this is kind of weird because there's a lot of men writing on this board. There's not like a lot of classical men's names. Like you think of like old ladies' names. I guess like there's like Larry is kind of an old man's name. I don't know. Like it's weird. There's not a lot of old men's name like there is old ladies. That's weird. Anyways,
we've got Rick Brigg. That's kind of fun to say. Rick Brigg. Say that 10 times fast.
Dude, I can't think of a young Larry.
Yeah, I know. Like
Larry David.
Yeah.
Larry King.
Uh-huh.
Larry Bird.
Yeah, they're all old.
I can't think of a young Larry, man.
I guess Walt is old. Like, Walter. That's a pretty old name. Anyways, Matt Scalise. Do you trade Connor and Ingram for McCaffrey? The reason why Mailbag sucks sometimes is because we don't know your format. We don't know who's on, who else is on your team. So if you are on the side of Connor and Ingram trading away from McCaffrey, I like to upgrade from Connor to McCaffrey on your running back if you have a decent tight end, even like a tight end 2, or a kind of a mid-level tight end. You're okay. I would definitely do that trade, but we really don't know. What do you think here?
I'll answer this question pretty simply. Unless it's going to be a pretty like a 90% yes for me. Yeah. However, unless you're in a league where you're starting a lot of players. So, right, if you're in a league where you're starting, for example, they are a dynasty league where depth is more. If you're in a league where depth is more important than strength at the top, right? You're starting 3 running backs and 4 wide receivers and 2 flexes, as opposed to a standard like 2-2-1. then you don't necessarily need to trade away depth. But if you're in a regular league, right, you're 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, or 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex or something like that, I definitely want to take some of that depth and consolidate it into the best possible player. And I think the upgrade from Connor to McCaffrey so far, what we've seen this season, is actually significant. McCaffrey's been the number 1 player or running back in fantasy so far this year, and I think has a chance to finish as that. So I would do this trade. I would. I think the giving up Ingram is worth doing that. I understand that Ingram has had 2 very nice games at the tight end position, but I think it's worth doing depending on making sure that you're not in a league where depth is overvalued.
Sure.
And so a 90% yes.
Sure. And if your only other tight end option is, I don't know, Greg Olsen, I would be on the fence.
I agree with that. The one thing I'll say about trading low, I mean, in my opinion, with a trade, it's you got to treat it kind of like buying a stock. Buy the hype, buy the news, sell the hype. Right now, Connor's stock is so low. If you trade him, you're getting trash. You're not trading Connor and getting yourself DeAndre Hopkins and Ezekiel Elliott or something, right? You're getting some mid-level wide receiver too. Why not wait till Connor has a breakout game or 2, which we know he will have? Then you're going to get value. Then you're going to get yourself maybe a wide receiver 1 or a low-end RB1. You might be able to get yourself a Leonard Fournette and a Robert Woods or something to that effect. I'm just a big believer in wait till your dud has 1 big game, then sell.
Yep. Cool. All right. Brendan Rivard. What do I do if I have Kittle and Waller? What are some trade targets?
I think you get whoever will be paid more for, which I think is Kittle. I think people still I know Kittle's had a little bit of a slower start, but if you added a touchdown to any of those games, he's suddenly a top 5-ish tight end, right? He's tight end 13 with a bye right now.
Yep.
So
I'll give you a perfect guy to trade if you have Kittle and you have Waller. Kenny Golladay, I think, is a pretty good target
for Kittle.
Yeah, I'd be 100%.
You can get more.
Would you do? You think you can get Tyreek Hill out of Kittle?
If you can do it now, because Tyreek Hill is already kind of, working his way back. So if he's had such a hot start.
Tyler Lockett.
From a guy that people are kind of low on, right? You go get that buy low. But if you can sell,
hold on.
It all depends on who you can sell for more, because I'm comfortable starting either of these guys the rest of the season, and maybe somebody looks at Waller and says he started hot and he's not going to cool down all season. So maybe you can go out there and sell Waller for a lot as well. And I think I'd rather have Kittle the rest of the season, and he's going to be, I think, magic in the second half of the season. But if you can sell Waller for more, I'd sell whoever I can get a better deal from.
And it's going to be Kittle.
I don't care, because they're both going to be just fine at tight end for the rest of the year.
Okay, but you're not answering his question. Who should his trade targets be? I'll throw out a couple of names. Like I said, Kenny Golladay. I think Tyreek Hill. Maybe even like Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, if you can.
I'll give you a good one.
Okay.
Because you went with the banged up theme. Give me T.Y. Hilton.
Sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton's banged up, but he started the season hot, has 4 touchdowns in the 3 games that he played, and didn't even play a full third game.
Sure. Okay.
So I think T.Y. Hilton would be a good target to trade away George Kittle.
Okay.
He got to sustain he might miss another game, but
I'd be on the end of the Waller. I mean, I believe in Kittle, and I firmly believe he's going to bounce back. I mean, he's the guy who led the league, the tight end with the most receptions last year. I think he broke the all-time record, right? Something to that effect. But so I'd rather trade away Waller, and you can probably get someone who isn't having that great of a performance. For me, I would try target Juju. Everyone's so down on Juju, but he'll bounce back. So if I can keep Kittle, trade someone like Waller, who everyone's hyping about, and get yourself a wide receiver one like Juju, who, if you believe he'll bounce back like I do, you're going to have a stud wide receiver one and a tight end one on your team.
Cool. Before we move on, guys, just give me 1 second. My recording thing is acting weird. I just want to make sure it's recording. So give me a second. I'll cut this out. I'm just going to listen to making sure it's being recorded. All right, perfect. That's good. All right. Christian, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Go ahead. Just count down.
3, 2, 1. I thought you were going to say something there, Dale.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Kyle Rapp. Is Darwin Thompson a must drop at this point? The preseason hype of him being number 2 has seen him drop to is he even active status. I 100% agree. I think Darwin Thompson, I wouldn't say a must drop. That's pretty harsh. But is he droppable? Absolutely. You agree? Disagree?
Correcto.
Agree.
Okay. We'll move on. Rick Briggs. Rick is an old school name. Rick Briggs says, rest of the season, Montgomery, can he still be a reliable...
Is Kyle Rapp a real name? That sounds like a nickname.
Yeah, it does sound
Just want to go back to that.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you get a choice when your name's Rick? Do you get a choice to call yourself Rich, or is that really on your parents? At what age are you like? You know what? I'm going to be Rick instead of Rich.
I cannot imagine like a 5-year-old named Rick. That would be weird. There has to be a transition period.
Ricky. Like, let's say, okay, all right. Let's say you're down here. You're in South Florida. You're Hispanic. Your real name is Ricardo.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
You could be a kid and somebody calls you Rick or Ricky.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's kind of what do you do with a name like Graham? Can you imagine a 3-year-old Graham?
Yeah, that's an old school one too. That's good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Dale. You really want to name your baby Margaret?
Dude, 3-year-old Florence. Come on, man. That's where it's at.
If you name her Gladys, she's 100% going to be 4 years old with glasses, reading you the paper.
Yeah.
She'll be telling back in my day stories when she's 7. I'm telling you.
That's good. All right. So rest of the season, Montgomery, can he be reliable number 2? He's trying to get 2 questions in here. And then also, what caliber players would you trade for Barkley if you're 3-1 and have Gallman in Standard League? Let's go start with the rest of the season for Montgomery. Can he be reliable too? Can he? Absolutely. Will the Bears allow him to? Would the Bears allow him to? I don't know.
Oh, man. That's such a rough question. I'm going to RB2, like, number 24? Like, dude, like, at this point, I'd rather, even with a lesser workload, I'd rather start Austin Eckler. Like, I'd feel more comfortable about it than starting David Montgomery. Like, he just has not been good, man.
In a Standard League, he is definitely flex-worthy. He's in the top 30 in Standard League. He only has 1 touchdown. You can't even tell me he's not getting the work, man. 18, 13, and 21 carries in the last 3 games.
Yeah, he's the definition of game script dependency. Him and Josh Jacobs, I think, have the same problem. When Oakland and or Chicago are within 1 touchdown, it's the Montgomery show. The moment they're 2 touchdowns trying to chase a lead, in comes Tariq. I don't know. I just think he's too game script dependent. In my opinion, he has a potential to be a 3-down back, but I don't think he's done enough in the first 4 weeks to show that he's a bell cow.
Sure, I agree. He could definitely. I see, the last quarter of the season, weeks 12 through 16. He has potential to be really, really good. Already 58 carries. That's 15th in the league. 200 rushing yards is not that bad, although, it's not in the top tier, but it's not that bad.
3.4 yards a carry is bad.
Well, the problem is a 1 touchdown. That's what I'm trying to say is if he can get in the end zone, I mean, his value goes from a flex to a strong RB2. And if he improves his running game or whatever, The Bears are going to be in games just based off their defense. They're going to play good defensive ball, and they're going to want to keep and hold the ball as long as they can, to keep it away. So I like David Montgomery a lot. Right now, he's flex worthy. He can end up the season, I think, as a strong RB2.
Also wish he was doing a little more in the receiving game. On pace right now, if everything stayed the same, for about 32 catches.
Yeah.
That's not great, man.
No, I agree.
It's not great for an offense that, I mean, Jordan Howard can't catch, and he was fucking catching the ball in this offense. Like, come on, man.
Yep.
But if he's sitting in your flex, then I'm cool with that.
Yeah, he was saying RB2. I think, like, he's a low-end RB2. Like, I would have him probably around 24 or 25 for the rest of the season if I was ranking right now.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I think that's where he belongs. He's a low-end RB2, high-end flex.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And he is right there around Josh Jacobs.
With the potential to be better, but it's on him because I think the work's still going to be about the same.
Yes.
Just has to produce with it.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree.
That offense, I think,
It'll get better.
will get better. Fuck. It can't look sloppier, can it?
I don't know.
They have a good offense on paper, man. I don't know.
That's what always happens with the teams everyone hypes up. Last year, everyone was all about the Broncos, and that didn't exactly turn out that great, This year, it was the Browns and the Bears, and it's the curse of the teams who are going to blow up.
Yep, good on paper. All right, let's just really quick. Who would you trade for, Barkley? Some guys that you might consider. Barkley, we didn't really talk about any news, but he is out on the practice field running a little bit. Looks okay. They said he's ahead of schedule. So based off of that, I don't know. I mean, he's in that.
He also has Gallman, by the way, so he can afford to give away someone good while Barkley comes back.
Sure.
So I think that's nice. So I would treat it as you're going to trade for an RB1, try to give away a RB2 or wide receiver 2.
Sure.
See if
Would you guys trade Fournette for Barkley?
Yes.
You don't think the last game is a sign of things to come, or do you think that's him overhyped?
I think Fournette, and I know John mentioned this on the last pod or the pod before, has a shot of being a top 10, 12 guy rest of the season. But I don't think he is the top 3 potential that John mentioned, right? 29 carries, 225 yards. Those games happen, but they don't happen
for the Jags
very often, right? And I do think Fournette will be fine, but I think he's going to be closer to what we saw versus Tennessee as opposed to what we saw versus Denver.
Listen,
I think he's closer to the 10 to 16 point per game guy than the what did he have this last game?
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
In a standard league, yeah. So he's closer to like a Derrick Henry, that 15, 10, 10, that kind of. That's what I expect. I don't expect what we saw last week, but I could be wrong.
Listen,
but man,
when we're ranking,
I haven't with Fournette before.
Let me throw out a name: Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram for Barkley, straight up.
I would do that. I have Mark Ingram, and I would love to do that.
Listen, when we're ranking fantasy football players, Christian, you know this from last year because you were doing really well on the Fantasy Pros ranking expert platform. This year, it just seems like I'm doing really, really well. But what we do is we're just playing the odds here. Yes, Fournette could be awesome, but on the level at Saquon Barkley is when he's healthy, he's a game changer, and he is going to win you games. Every single week, he's going to win you games. Can Fournette do it every now and then? Absolutely. But let's just play the odds here and say, if you have Saquon Barkley, you're a safe top 2-3 running back every single week.
See, my thing is opportunity. I mean, and I could be wrong here. I believe Fournette got 29 carries.
Yes.
I know there's questions about Barkley, don't get me wrong, but 29 carries. There is only a handful of running backs in this league. I don't even think Zeke got that many carries last week. There's only a handful of running backs who get that opportunity. If you're getting 29 carries, Yeah, 15 of them might go for 3 yards, but he's the kind of guy who might bust out for 1 or 2. Same with Ingram, to be honest. You give Ingram 20 to 30 carries, you can almost guarantee 100 yards and a touchdown.
The thing is, how quickly when the Jags, go down by 10 points, will they stray away from that? And I think very quickly, right? If they're out here and they're playing like they did in week 1, they're playing Kansas City, they will stray away from that, because you look and see his carries for that game, he had 13 carries. So I think he is not as game script dependent as some of the other running backs that we've mentioned, because I think he's still going to get his, especially if Jacksonville wants to control that tempo and the ball. I don't think Fournette will get close to 29 carries again this season.
No, I don't either.
Fair enough.
All right.
I know there's questions about Barkley, so sorry for the sidetrack.
If you can get
That's
Barkley
fine.
for whatever you can do to get Barkley, you get him, because he's a game changer. And
I don't know about whatever. Try to get him at a value. If you can't, it's fine.
Look, even if he's back in a couple weeks, if you trade him anything other than a top 5 running back, you're winning.
He has Gallman, but that's the only reason I'm doing it that much, pulling that trigger.
Sure.
I'll give you a guy that I would trade away. Give me Aaron Jones, trading him away. People still believe in him for some fucking reason.
That's good.
Definitely. All right. So Steve wants to know, why can't Armando pronounce his names correctly?
Armando can't pronounce his own name correctly. Let's move on.
The last couple episodes for Armando were really bad, so I apologize.
He messed up fucking David Waller. Like, if you name your daughter like Macy, if you name her Maxine, he's just gonna call your daughter Max.
And you just call him David Waller when it's Darren. So
Darren Waller, fucking hell.
Dale, I'm throwing a name out there.
I just got canceled.
Mabel.
Oh, Mabel's a good one.
She's taken up knitting at the age of 4. Come on, man.
Hold on. Let me ask. Brooke, the name Mabel, what do you think? Oh.
I got you. Hold on.
She said no.
Ready? You ready for this? A name where the full name and the nickname both sound old. Lucinda.
Oh, that's good.
And
And then her nickname is Lucy.
their nickname is. We do like Lucy. We kind of mess around with that name, but it's too. It's too like frilly.
Beatrice? I mean, you can shorten that to Beat, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, our daughter's name is Beatrice.
First daughter is Beatrice.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, fair enough.
So
well, what do you nickname her?
some people call her B.
B?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I call her Beatrice.
Very
But,
cool.
all right. So Richard,
Rosemary, and then her nickname is Rose. Another name where it's both names sound old.
we talked about Rose too as a middle name, actually. All right.
Love it. It makes me think of the old lady from Titanic.
Richard. Richard from Orlando, the guy that we hung out with, Christian, last time.
His name could be old.
Yeah,
It depends.
Yeah. On a scale 1 to 10, how fucking pumped are you for the new Joker movie? Scale 1 to 10, quick.
Is that in the?
Just
I'm going to
answer.
give it a 5 or 6.
David.
I'm about a 4 just because I feel like it's going to ruin Heath Ledger's legacy.
Oh,
So
my
I'll
God.
watch it, but I don't know.
I'm going to go an 8 because I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see the movie, and I don't see a lot of movies. I think it's going to be a good one. All right. Next one, Stevie. Can Clayton explain why he is a Texans fan from Canadian? Texas fan has a Canadian. I think he got like some free merchandise from the Texans at one point, and he decided to be a fan. But you can ask Clayton when he comes on the next episode.
You're from Canada, and you have to be like a fan of a state.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick like either Texas or something in New York or something in California.
Right.
So like,
right.
Texas is a good call.
Steve.
Well,
Stevie.
You guys want to know just quickly the team I follow, and this may be because of this might be the last episode you guys ever had me on. It's
Can I say no?
If it's a Patriots, I'm going to hang up on you. I'm telling you right now, if it's a Patriots, David, I'm hanging up.
So we should move on to the next question. No, hear me out. Here's my rationale. There is rationale.
On the
gotta-
bandwagon.
So I moved to this country about 7.5 years ago, right?
Okay.
And my buddy goes to me, Dave, you got to play fantasy football. I'm like, dude, what the hell is fantasy football? He goes, dude, it's easy. All you got to do is pick a QB, a receiver, a running back. I'm like, man, what is a QB and what is a receiver? So anyway, I auto-drafted my team, and I coincidentally had Brady, Gronk, Edelman, Gostkowski, and the Patriots D. So because of that, I just naturally started following.
I don't know.
Then,
I don't know if that's good enough.
I realized that everyone hates the Patriots.
Yeah.
But it was too late. I already made my mark. But here's the thing: everyone hates them. What's more patriotic than loving the Patriots?
I don't want to talk about that.
Mark Ingram with his exactly 69 fantasy points in standard leagues.
All right.
All right,
That's enough of that.
That's
Stevie,
even in decimal scoring. Just throwing that out there.
Stevie wants to know what is Mixon's outlook for the rest of the season with this terrible O-line. Fucking horrible. Does that kind of sum it up there?
Okay. I'm going to give you some running backs
Horrible.
who have outscored Joe Mixon so far this year. Ready for it? Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, Peyton Barber, Jordan Howard, Ronald Jones, Wayne Gallman, and Frank Gore.
Royce Freeman.
So
No
that was
way.
probably
Not Royce.
depressing list. I don't like Joe Mixon. I don't like him for the rest of the year, and I don't think you're going to get a return on what you drafted him as.
Not a chance.
However, he is getting some work, but man, that O-line sucks.
I'll give you 3 names, and this is going. I don't know if I'm getting too bold or if, I'm trying to be a shock jock here. Three guys I would take over Joe Mixon for the rest of the season: James White, Devin Singletary, and Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, you went too bold.
I like all of them except for Drake. I'm not a big Drake fan, but
yeah, you
They
went
fell
too
with
far.
top
I'll
tens.
take Mixon over all 3 of those guys. I said he sucks. I didn't say he's total trash.
He's
like,
trash. Joe
I didn't
Mixon.
say
is
drop
trash.
Joe Mixon. I said like RB3.
Try like RB4.
No, man, he's been an RB3 even right now, and he's had a rough start. I think he has the potential to be. You know what? You took it too far. He's a low end RB2. I'd take him around the same category as I would take David Montgomery.
Joe Mixon
what?
isn't winning anything for you. Nothing.
No, absolutely not.
What other workhorses in the league are RB2, RB3s? I'm trying to think of
Workhorses that are RB2s. Sonny
workhorse
Michel,
running back.
Carlos
Would you call
Hyde.
it workhorse? I mean, I think him and Rex are pretty even-ish. I don't know. Good question.
Sonny Michel had 17 carries last game. Game before that, I think he had. What did he have the game before that? It was a lot, but he's had a good amount of carries and still has just been average. I think he's a good example. I think Carlos Hyde is a really good example of a guy getting a lot of carries, and he's just going to be average every game, no matter what you do.
Nitrogen Sports is the #1 Bitcoin betting site in the entire world. The entire world. So here's what you need to do. Head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. It's a website. Click on the Nitrogen Sports banner. You're going to see it right up top. It's going to take you to the site, Nitrogen Sports. And here's the deal. #1 Bitcoin betting site in the world. It's trusted. It's reliable. Easy to get money in. Easy to get money out once you win. And here is our betting segment of the week. I talked about this game earlier. The Arizona Cardinals are traveling to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. This game is exciting, not because neither team has won a game. I don't care about that. But what I do care about is passing football teams and the over-under. So the over-under right now is 47.5 points. And here's why I love this game so much. You have 2 of the most pass-heavy offenses in the entire NFL. What that means is the clock stops. This game is going to take 4+ hours, which means each offense is likely to have 75+ plays. This will be a high-scoring affair. I don't care if John Ross is injured. I don't care if A.J. Green is injured. These are 2 of the worst defenses with the most pass-happy coordinators in the NFL. This game is going to last forever. Each team only has to score 24 points. And when you're playing against the worst defenses that you have played all year, this just sings to me, man, it's going to be a very high-scoring affair. Very boring to watch, bad football teams, but that's not what we're about here. Head over to Nitrogen Sports, again, eatsleepfantasy.com, click on the banner, place your bet on the over. They're going to score 50-plus points combined. You can bet on it, and I'm telling you right now, this is John. I am putting my money on it, so please feel confident in doing so. And if we lose, we're not going to lose. Let's just be honest.
Let's go to Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. Which one did
Super
you?
Nintendo.
I was a Sega guy.
I had a Sega, but Super Nintendo is so much better.
Yeah, Mario Kart and Super Nintendo was one of the best Mario Karts there.
I think you're onto something there. Yeah, Mario Kart was pretty awesome. Have you downloaded the Mario Kart app? It's amazing, by the way.
There's a Mario
Kart
Kart
don't
app?
have Switches.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of this.
Yeah, it's good.
It's awesome.
It's fun.
Just go get a Switch, man.
I don't have.
You can afford it.
I don't have burrito money.
Yeah, because you're spending it all on Margaret.
All right, Daniel Denny says, I'm newish, started listening about a month and a half before the season, joined the group about 2 weeks ago or something. Just wondering, since this is a podcast and not a radio slot, why are y'all limited to 1 hour or less? Or I have to split them up into 2 parts? Just wondering because I listen to y'all and want more.
People don't listen if you go on too long.
Yeah.
If we're being very honest.
Yeah, they hate our episodes. Just looking at our analytics, our episodes generally don't get a high finish rate when we go after 45 minutes or so.
Yep.
So a lot of people listen to us all the way through, and we appreciate it. But on average,
Our goal is to not bore you. If we start to bore you, it's time to end the episode.
we have a couple of waiver wire picks here. I'm going to breeze through those because it's already too late. Favorite deep fried foods. We can go on for hours about
Favorite
that.
deep fried foods is anything.
Yeah,
I like the classic of chicken.
I
Deep
was
fried
gonna say
chicken.
chicken's number one,
Yeah.
but we don't. Have to debate.
Is French fries the wrong answer here?
Yes, chicken is
feel
number
like-
one.
French fries is the number one answer for me. Like, that's easy. And
Yeah.
if we want to go like outside the box, Oreos. Deep fried Oreos are fucking amazing.
Do you prefer steak fries or the McDonald's type thin ones?
I don't
Some
like the
steak-
shoestring. I like them thinner than the steak fries. Though.
Yeah.
I like that.
It really bothers me when you get the really, really thin ones because then you have to group them like a handful together to make one fry. And
Time out. You know how I know you're fat?
Here's a question: Do you feel really fancy when you order truffle fries?
Oh yeah, I feel
Oh,
rich.
yeah, absolutely. But
Just-
then again,
just
I
throw a
feel
bit of
fancy
truffle.
just ordering regular fries.
All right, so David Ogburn says, I have put a lot of time and effort into a team, a 12-man non-PPR team. I even still like how my team looks, yet I'm 0-4 going to week 5. What the hell do I do now? Where do you draw the line between panicking and feeling that you need to switch something up? This is actually a really good question.
Can I just say something? He should go to fantasygo.com and pick an analyst. you knew I was going there. I was going there.
Right now is the time to make a lot of moves, and that's actually a good one. You need to make a lot of moves, not panic, not make people feel like they can push you around because you're 0-4, but make moves that ensure you're upgrading 1% to 2% every trade, and make a bunch. That's how Armando wins fucking leagues, or at least makes it to playoffs every year. I don't know about winning, but does it because he just makes so many fucking trades. Even if 2 of them are bad and 5 of them are good, if you make 7 trades, you know what I mean? Like It'll work out. So don't panic, but you have to switch up a lot if you're 0-4.
If you're 0-4, the one thing I would say as well is be cautious of the 4-0 guy, because they are lions hunting a gazelle.
Sure.
They can smell panic, and they will offer you the biggest, the worst trade in the world, just because they know that you're desperate and you feel like you've got to make a move, otherwise you're not doing anything. Just be cautious.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. All right, let's. We're kind of getting to the end of the questions here. Is Preston Williams the real deal? Wide receiver, the Dolphins rookie. He is definitely a real deal in Dynasty. I think he has a lot of
the
value.
real deal in terms of like he wouldn't be playing on 31 other rosters.
Agree.
But he gets to play and gets 7 targets for the Dolphins, and he'll be fine. Give him a season or 2. Give him, maybe the Dolphins are actually a decent team when they use their 7 draft picks in the first 2 days of the draft next year. But even then, the Dolphins are closer to Right now, Alabama than they are any other team in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he can get 7 targets, but you're not going to get more than 46 yards like you saw this past week. And
I do like the
What are you gonna do
opportunity. I do like the opportunity. I think one week he had 12 or 13. I might be wrong
Yeah, 12.
here.
Yeah, week
12
3 he had 12 targets, 4 receptions on 12 targets.
I mean, to your point, he's not really doing a ton with them, but if you're desperate at a flex, you can probably rely
Rosen
on...
likes him. So what's the question here? It says, is he the real deal? Opportunities there. Dolphins are tanking, and they are trying to see what they have, basically. So I Dynasty, like him. Desperate, sure. But again, outside of that, he probably won't crack, my top 36 all season long, but he'll probably be ranked somewhere between 36 and 48 all year.
The crazy thing is, listen to this. Preston Williams has half of the Dolphins' touchdowns for the year.
Because he has one.
Because he has one.
I fucking hate you. I knew you were going to do that.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
No, look, I'm not a Dolphins fan anymore, so it is what it is. But looking at the scores for the last, we talk about the Dolphins way too much, I know, but it's unbelievable looking at the scores. I mean, 10 to 59, 0 to 43, 6 to 31, and 10 to 30. That's unreal. That's losing bad. It's crazy. They're worse than you think. They're worse than anybody thinks.
The Dolphins in metrics, I don't know the exact stat today. I know that I heard it on sports radio here in Miami. In analyzing metrics for the Washington Redskins, who was ranked as the 31st team, and the Dolphins the 32nd, the numbers for the Redskins were closer to a top 10 team than they were to the Dolphins, that kind of signifies how bad the Dolphins are, that the gap between them and the next best team is that fucking large. But again, I will say what I've been saying all year since the preseason. The Dolphins are trying to tank, which means they'll go 3-13 and not get the first pick.
Yeah.
One myth I'll try and debunk real quick, I know we're running short on time, is people have this theory that if you pick a bad team, they're going to throw the ball a ton. While there's some truth to that, at the end of the day, if you look at quarterbacks who are in close games, they're going to score way more points than some Josh Rosen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's going to be down by 18 points midway through the first quarter. Just because defenses know they're going to have to throw. But in a close game, you could do anything. So, I mean, look at Phillip Rivers. When his team was trash, he was not a good QB. You put him the last couple of years, he's been probably a top 10 QB just because he's had a good team. But that's my 2 cents.
I'll give you one more stat just to tell you how bad the Dolphins are in the second half of games. So they've been mildly competitive for the first half of the last 2 games. In the second half of games this season, they have been outscored 81-0.
That's nuts.
All right. Well, one last question. Chef Curtis, thoughts on the Rams offense and the Buccaneers offense the rest of the season? Rams offense, just fine. Buccaneers, they're not going to be what they were last week, but I think the Buccaneers are improved, and Chris Godwin is legit and the real deal, and obviously we know what Mike Evans is. I think this team is a pretty good team. They're a playoff team.
The one thing I'll say, I think Godwin is potentially a sell high. I'm not saying he's not going to be great. You can fire him up all season long, but you can probably get yourself a stud running back for Godwin right now if you need one.
He's probably going. I don't know if he's going to. Well, he's probably at his all-time high right now for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's going to have another game like he did. So, yeah, if you're going to sell him now or keep him. But now's a good sell. I think you're right.
And why are people worried about the Rams' offense? You've got 3 startable receivers. There's not many teams in the NFL who you can say if you have Cooks, Woods, and Kupp that you fire them all up, right? I mean, that's
the problem. Is I think it's a very good offense. The problem is Jared Goff. Yes, he's throwing the ball a ton of times. I mean, one of the tops in the league, over 170 times so far, over 1,200 yards. but he turns the ball over a lot, and that's not going to equate to winning when you're giving the ball away that much. And so if they're playing down, if they're not up by 14 in the first quarter like they were last year, it's not going to be as eye flying as they should have been.
That's the key phrase here. The Rams' offense has been fine. They're 7th in total yards per game. They're 6th in points per game. The problem is that they're not where they were last season in terms of the big play, the yards per play, basically. They're 13th in the league right now in that metric. And we expected them to be, right there neck and neck with Kansas City. And they're not quite there where they were last year. They just got to throw it a little bit more to Brandon Cooks and actually trust Todd Gurley to give him the ball like they did a little more this past game, and he showed up a little bit more. The offense will hit their stride in the second half of the season, but I think they're kind of trying to be this playoff-ready team and easing into that, and it might be frustrating for the first half.
Look, and I know people might be yelling at me, kind of talking bad about Jared Goff. He did throw for over 500 yards last week. I get that. He also threw almost 70 times last week, which is 68 times he threw last week, which is crazy. And they still lost 40-55. So, yeah.
And they only gave Todd Gurley, 10 touches, if that?
It wasn't very much. So whatever McVay is trying to do, I don't know. We'll see if it pans out. But anyways, I think that wraps up. We didn't talk
about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is top 12 offense right now in the league. Yeah. So just bear with them, man. Like, you're not going to get better than that. They don't have the talent. They have the system, but they don't have the talent to be better than that. Outside of Evans and Godwin, there really isn't a lot there.
Yeah.
I think that also leads into, there was one question about the top QB pickup. It's Winston.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. If Winston's out there, I think he's up there. If he's on your waiver wire, you should get him. Makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that wraps it up. Don't forget, check out our website, eatsleepfantasy.com. Subscribe. The rankings are all free. You just have to log in. It's really easy. Also, our app is coming up very, very soon. You're going to win a t-shirt in the next few weeks, courtesy of Fantasy Go. Speaking of Fantasy Go, fantasygo.com is an awesome website. Definitely check it out. You heard David Spiel earlier on. If you're doing awesome, but you just can't get to your team, or if you're not doing very well and you need to switch some stuff up, like that one question was asked, Fantasy Go is a way to win your fantasy league. So check it out. Look me up on there. I'm on the Analyst Marketplace, so look for my name, Dale D.
We're doing a free trial right now, so if you're interested in trying it out, if you're 1-3 or 0-4 and need some help with your Yahoo team, email info@fantasygo.com and we'll hook you up.
There you go. Easy enough. Christian, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah. We need to know what you're going to name your daughter. Can we do a poll? Can we do a poll and that picks the name of your daughter?
Do it.
Any chance?
I'm going to throw something out there to do Blanche. Blanche is come on.
Hold on.
Now you're just trying to be mean. You're not trying to have her have a good life. Ruth or Sadie?
No. Hold on. Let me ask my wife a question really quick. Hold on. Brooke. Okay, so the 4 names that we're deciding on, if I put it on Facebook, just those 4 names that we decided, how much money would it take that the winner of that poll?
I don't know about money.
Name?
Fuck out of here.
Because Christian has some money to spend. He wants to put money up, like $10,000.
I was going to say 10 grand.
Yeah, she said for 10 grand. Christian.
Yeah, your daughter is going to be named Spider Pig, but that's fine.
All right. For Christian Brito, again, thanks to David for joining us. Good stuff, man.
Cheers.
We will talk to you guys the next couple of days. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe the next day. We'll see. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
Adios.
Bye.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts. I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.